Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. I'm so glad you joined me today. We are going to make a fun fold pop-out card. It's super cute, it's pretty simple to make, but the exciting part about it is I'm using all of the products from the brand new 2024 to 2026 in color colors. I love them. They scream summer. They're really happy and bright, and I love the coordinated products. So we are going to use a really cute set called Hearts and Hugs that also has coordinating dies to create these sweet little bright colored happy cards. So let me take a moment to put the camera down and we'll get started. Thanks so much for joining me. We're going to have fun today. Did I mention these were all bright, happy summer colors? Yes, check them out. The brand new 2024 to 2026 in color colors are so pretty. You have Shy Shamrock, Peach Pie, which we haven't had a peach shade in a long time. I love this green. Petunia Pop, which is kind of a pinkish purple, really pretty. Pretty in Pink, which reminds me of a color we had a while back that I used to use all the time. So this Pretty in Pink is really super pretty. And then you have Summer Splash that I think would pair really well with Coastal Cabana, but it's sort of a bluish green, like a turquoisey kind of color. Like, it reminds me of the ocean. It's really pretty. So of course these are the stamp pads, and then it also has all 5 in alcohol blend markers, which I love. So you can purchase those. It has a pack of shimmer gems, which I love. It has all 5 colors and they coordinate so pretty. And I like that they're not super sparkly, but they just add a little bit of glimmer. And they're kind of flatter than some of the other ones, so I really like those. And then here is the Designer Series paper pack, and of course this comes in every color family. This is the 6x6 Designer Series paper pack. So you can get this in the brights, the regals, the subtles, and so I purchased this in the in colors because I wanted to kind of have a little bit of everything to play with. And then kind of what I like to do is I figure out what my favorite colors are, and if I find I'm going to use these a whole lot, then I'll buy a pack of each color of the paper. But to start out, I always get 1 or 2 of the combo packs and see how much I think I'm going to use them, which I have a feeling I'm going to use these a lot. I'm going to have to get them. But I always start out that way and kind of play around with the products so that I don't have space taken up by paper that I might not necessarily be in love with, because of course living in an RV, storage is an issue. So I start out with this and then I kind of go and decide, do I want these or not? But I love this Designer Series paper because you get 4 sheets of every design and you get 2 different designs for each color. So you get this, I don't know, this pattern and then this floral pattern in every color. Love it. And then if you flip it over, the other side has stripes and these sort of bubbles. I call them bubbles. They're circles. So you've got 4 patterns and then all 5 colors. So you get 40 sheets in the pack. So you can do a lot with this. And this is great for birthday cards too. These back backgrounds right here will be very useful for a lot of things. And then of course these are more intricate designs on the front. So that's that, and of course you have the cardstock. So I just wanted to show you how well coordinated everything is. So let me show you what we're making. Let me set this all aside, get it out of the way. We are going to make this really fun pop-out card. It's super simple to make. I saw it the other day online and I said, oh my gosh, I got to make one of these. Let me try it out. So let me pull my cart. I have a little rolling cart. Let me pull that over and get my paper cutter and we'll get started. So I'm going to make this card using the Pretty in Pink. Look, I've already forgot what the color is. Pretty in Pink. I'm learning the new color names. So we're going to make Pretty in Pink. So I grabbed the Pretty in Pink paper. I have a little piece cut off, but I think it's fine. This Designer Series paper with the stripes and the flowers. And then we'll be using some white as well. So let's start out with our Pretty in Pink. So this is the card base. So you're going to need 5.5 by 10.25. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So I'm going to cut it at 5.5. Ah, yes, that worked. And then 10.25. Now, I know I could open my arm out and cut this at 10 1/4, but I know this is an 11-inch sheet of paper, so I'm just going to cut 3/4 of an inch off of it. Right there. All right, so 5 1/2 by 10 1/4. All right, let me set my scraps aside there. So now we're going to do some scoring. So I'm going to move my scoring blade to the bottom, or my cutting blade to the bottom, get it out of the way. I'm famous for cutting what I want to score sometimes when I don't do that. So I'm going to score it at 1 1/2 inches, and this is on the long side. So 1 1/2 inches, and then 3 inches, and 4 1/2 inches, and 6 inches. You know, I just bought the Simply Scored tool for the first time, and you know, I didn't bring it out to try it out. I need to try it out. I've been wanting to get it. All right, so then we're going to turn, so let me go over these again. So we have 1 1/2, 3 inches, 4 1/2, and 6-inch score lines, okay? So once that's done, you're going to turn your paper so the short side is at the top, and you're going to line it up at the 1 inch mark right there. And then you're going to cut from the first score line to the last score line. So the 1 1/2 inches to the 6 inches, okay? So let me move my blade, and I can see, because there is a ruler on this, and I have a piece of white tape down this so I can see when I cut dark paper, so that's why that's on there. So 1 1/2 inches, and then I'm going to cut down to 6 inches, okay? And then you can lift your blade up and make sure you got it all the way there. And that looks pretty good. All right, so then I'm going to move my paper over, and we have a 1 inch mark on this side of the cutting line. So I'm going to just put it right there, and I'm doing the exact same thing. So I'm going to line my cutter up at the 1 1/2 inch mark, and then I'm going to go down to the 6 inch mark. So you're just cutting in between those score lines. All right, so that's it. So I'm going to set that aside a moment, and we are going to pull out our designer series paper. So I'm going to use this. I haven't decided if I'm going to use both sides or not. So what I'm going to do is make sure my stripes are up and down, because I don't want them to be sideways. I know if I use them, I want them to be up and down. So I'm going to put my paper that way. Let's just go ahead and cut it this way. So I will have on my blog page this little cheat sheet. We are going to use all of this 6x6 paper, and I've created this little cheat sheet so you know exactly how to cut out your piece of paper so you don't waste anything. All right. So I created this on just a piece of copy paper, and this is a good idea for you to create. It's really easy. Basically, to create this, let me show you, because if you want to create these for yourself, they're really easy. So this is 1 1/4 by 3 1/4, and it happens to be all the way down. So what I do is I use my cutter, and I put it where I want it to be, and then I take my mechanical pencil and make my lead kind of long, and then that way I can draw my lines. And so that's how I create this, okay? And it just makes it super easy, and you get straight lines that way. So that's a little tip if you want to create your own little guide. All right, so taking my guide, I'm going to go ahead and get this cut. So we're going to cut one column at 1 1/4 all the way down. And then I'm going to do one more, 1 1/4 all the way down. All right, and then I'm going to stack these two together, because you can cut multiple pieces of paper, of designer series paper, at once. Do you hear that wind? I don't know if you can hear the wind. It is whipping today here in Colorado. It's rocking the RV. All right, so now we're going to cut this at 3 1/4 inches. Okay, so we have 2 of those. And then I'm going to cut 3 at 3/4 inches. So you can do it by using this line or this line. I'm going to use my 3/4 inch line on this side, because I like to be able to hold it from this direction. So 3/4 inch, and again, these are layered together, so I'm cutting 2 at a time. And then I'm going to put it at 3/4 inch again. All right. And then I have one more, 3/4 of an inch. Kind of put it right in place, small, and then I'm going to just gently lay that down and cut that. And so this is your scrap. You can keep it if you want, but that's what scrap you have left from that. So we've got 1 1/4 by 3 1/4, and there's 2 of those. And then we've got 6 of these that end up being 3/4 by 1 1/4. So now we have this piece left. So we're going to cut, I'm going to turn it. I like to turn it and cut it at 5 1/4 because both of the last 2 pieces are going to be 5 1/4 long. So this is another scrap. And then we're going to flip it back over to the tall side and we're going to cut it at 1 1/4 inches. All right. And then what you have left is 2 1/4 inches. So that's that. So we basically cut that whole sheet of paper out with this is all we have left as waste. So I love when that works out that way. So there's all of our pieces using this guide, which will also, I'll have a picture of it on the blog so you have that. All right, so then the next thing we need is our white paper, which will be for the inside of the card. So I'm going to grab a sheet. Let me see if this is big enough. It's going to be 5 1/4 by 8. And I believe, let's see how long this is. Okay, so 5 1/4. And then this should be an 8 1/2 inch piece of paper. Let me check. Yeah, this is 8 1/2. I love having a ruler on the side. So I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off because I only want it 8 inches. Or you could just open your arm and cut it at 8 1/2. So I'm just cutting a 1/2 inch off. Now we're going to score it at 4 inches. That's just how I do it. Just want to show you how I do it. So we've got a piece of paper of basic white cardstock, 5 1/4 by 8, and it's scored at 4 inches. Okay, so it's basically a card. So that is cut, and then we need one more piece of basic white paper, and that's going to be 2 1/2 by 3 1/4, which I probably don't have a scrap of, so we'll have to bite the bullet and cut one. So 2 1/2 by 3 1/4. So I'm going to cut 3 1/4. And 2 1/2. This is going to be for the front of our card. Now you could also make this a little smaller and then layer another color behind it if you wanted to, but we're not going to do that today. All right, so that's all of our cutting for now. So we can start assembling. So we have let's start with our card base. So we have our card base here. We've done all our cutting and scoring. So we've got our 1 1/2 here, our 3, our 4 1/2, and our 6 inch score line, and we've got our 2 slits. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this and give it a little burnish with the bone folder. All right. Now, the way this gets folded is, you know what, let's go ahead and build it first. I find that easier, so I'm going to show you the way I do it. All right, so we're going to lay this out, and the first thing I'm going to do is decide where I want my pieces. So we've basically cut all of that designer series paper that's going to layer on all these little panels. So now this is when you would decide, do I want the floral on the front or the stripes on the front? So I think I'm going to put the floral on the front. You know what? I'm going to put the stripes on the front. I'll put the stripes on the front. So stripes here. See, this is why I do it this way, because I tend to change my mind. And then this panel is going to go on your piece of cardstock. So I just set that aside. We're going to use that in a few minutes. So we have all of these pieces. So this piece is going to go here. This is going to be blank because our white piece is going to go here. Okay? So you just have to kind of figure out how you want it. Do you want the flowers? Do you want a mix of the flowers and the stripes? What do you want? So I think I'm going to do all of these as stripes. So they're all going to go like this. And I think I'm going to make the floral one in the middle flowers because I just think that'll be fun. And then I'm going to make the stripes. So that's how I'm going to lay mine out. So I like to kind of figure that out before I start gluing. So now that I know that, I'm going to start gluing these down. Okay, so now I've got all of my pieces, and by doing those all at once, I kind of can make sure everything is lined up, you know, equal so they look nice and crisp and neat. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we want to work on this piece. So you want to decide how you want to decorate it. So here is the stamp set we're using, Hearts and Hugs. I love this. It's just so sweet. I love all these little critters, and it's got some hearts, and the sayings are very nice. I just they're so pretty. So here are the dies. I haven't put these onto. I'm out of my magnet sheets. So I've got to get some more. So here are the dies. Lots of flowers. I love that it has these. You can build these little flowers. It's got a banner. These hearts all punch out, so you can create lots of hearts, and these hearts also turn into flowers. So very well thought out dies as always. So we're going to use, and I also have extra flowers that I've punched out, and I just leave them in there to use for another project. We may even pop them on our card today, who knows. So I have pulled out the little mouse holding the heart. I wanted to play with that one. So where's my scrap? So we're just going to use a little scrap of paper and my Memento ink. Look at my lid. I don't even know how that happened. It is completely destroyed. So we're going to go ahead and ink up. Get a piece of paper here. We're going to ink up our little mouse, and I'm going to die cut him. So I don't care how straight he's getting put on there. Close that up. And then I just wanted to show you quickly about how to color with these alcohol markers. So I'm going to use the Pretty in Pink because that is what we've used for paper, and we want to keep pulling in our colors. And then I'm going to use the Smoky Slate because I think that's a great color for the little mouse. And then his little nose and ears, I'm going to use Petal Pink so that it's just very subtle. So we're going to go ahead and do some coloring. I actually grabbed the dark Petal Pink, but I think I want to use light Petal Pink. So we use the light Petal Pink, not the dark Petal Pink. Okay. Whew, that wind. So I'm not going to color the whole thing, but I just kind of want to give you an idea. So what I do is I just color. I always start out with my pink first on something like this because I don't want to bleed in the gray by accident, so I kind of get the pink out of the way, and it gives my heart a little time to dry. All right, now I'm gonna have to order some new Smoky Slate. I had a class recently and they kind of destroyed the tip of my marker, so I'm having to use the thin side. But to use these alcohol markers, you want to stamp in Memento ink because it will not bleed when you go over it with the markers. So all I do is color. I'm just going to color in his face. Do you hear my dog drinking water? Anybody have a dog who, if they drink cold water, throws up? I have one of those dogs, so it makes me nervous. I almost yelled at him to stop drinking water because sometimes he drinks too much water and then he gets sick. And when he gets sick, he runs straight for the rug. He can't get sick on the linoleum. No, he has to get sick on the rug. So thankfully that didn't happen. So now that my heart has had a moment to dry, I take the darker shade and I'll just kind of go back over the outside to give it a little dimension. And I'm going to leave it alone for a second and let it dry. And then for the gray, now that it's had a moment, is I'm just going to go over some of the little areas that the artist put in there for definition, if that makes sense. And I give that a moment to dry. So now I'm going to go back over the heart with the light color again and just kind of blend in so the edges aren't rough. And what it does is it creates that look of shading without any lines or ridges. So these markers are such a game changer, especially when the tips aren't messed up, but it still works with the fine tip. So I'm just kind of pulling that dark back into the middle a little bit. And then once the alcohol evaporates, you don't have any harsh lines, so it works out really well. And then to do his nose, I just simply dab that on, and then I'm going to put a little bit of pink in his ears. And if you feel like that pink is too dark, you can take your, this is called the color lifter, and you can just really lightly go over that color lifter, and it just kind of dims it just a little bit and makes it a little more subtle. So I'm not going to finish this because I don't want to spend a lot of time coloring that, but this one is finished, and I die cut him, and look how cute he is. He's just perfect. And I love how in the die they actually had it cut out that little center space so you don't have all that white showing. So he's so cute. So there's our little guy, and we're going to be using him on the card. So now I just got to decide what I want to do. So I know I'm going to have him on here popped up with dimensionals. So I want to add a saying. So I think I'm going to add, I could just hug you. Let's find it. I could just hug you. I like this little saying. So we're going to grab that. And my little block. And then I'm going to grab that Pretty in Pink ink. You know what? I think I'm going to do it in black. So we're going to do some hearts in the Pretty in Pink. So I'm going to get my Memento ink back out. And I'm going to ink this up. And I'm probably going to have my head in the way. And I'm going to put, hope this is straight. Oh, pretty straight. All right. So we also have some hearts. So I think we should have some hearts on here. So I'm going to grab these heart stamps. You could also die cut hearts. The set has a lot of really cute die cuts for hearts. So that would be a nice way to do this as well. But I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to just stamp hearts all over here. Very simple. Go off the page a little. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, that's good enough for me. So now that's on there. And by the way, all of these colors actually have ribbon as well, and I didn't grab the ribbon out, but I think we might need a ribbon. So let's pause for a moment. Let me get that ribbon. I wasn't planning on ribbon, but I think ribbon is called for here. So this is the Pretty in Pink bordered ribbon, and it has like a little border on it. Super pretty. So I'm going to tie my bow, and then we're going to cut it. This is the way I typically do it. I'll use that bow for that piece of ribbon for something else. So what I was envisioning is a small bow like that. See how much easier it is to do that way? So what if I place it here like this, and then put my, what do you think? What do you think? That could work. Okay. I'd actually be happier if it was on this side. Okay. So what I'm envisioning is the bow being over here. So I'm going to take a glue dot. I'm totally winging it here. You're seeing my process. And I'm going to put this here. And then I'm going to do the same thing and add the other side there, because I didn't want to just make it a plain piece of ribbon. I just wanted to add something to it. So put another glue dot here, and this just is going to hold my ribbon in place until we get the glue set up. All right. There. So we've sort of got a little bow, and now we can add him right there. And I just feel like it's a little more interesting. All right, so I'm gonna grab some dimensionals. I think 2 is fine. I'm not gonna worry about his tail. Cute. All right. So now that we've got that done, we want to set that aside. We're going to put that on our card in a moment. Let me get all this ribbon out of the way. Glad that ribbon worked out. All right, so I'm going to leave the front of this plain except for adding this piece of paper, and then I'm going to stamp in the middle, and I think I'm going to do... I'm trying to decide if I want to leave it blank. I think what I'm going to do is from the Simply Said, I'm going to add happy birthday. So let's grab that. Does that fit? Yes. Barely. Better get a bigger block, Jill, bigger block. Sometimes I get lazy and I just want to use the block I have out, and sometimes that's just not a good idea. So let's do it right the first time. All right, so I'm going to use the pink for this inside. I'm grabbing my petal pink. I'm going to ink it up. It's a brand new ink pad, so it's pretty juicy. All right, and I know I'm not gonna, my head's gonna be in the way, so I'm sorry. All right, and I just bumped my camera. So I'm not happy with that. So this is why I don't assemble until I'm ready. I'm gonna do this again, and I'm going to get out of the camera for a second and make sure this is straight. Sometimes these thinner stamps, there we go, that's better, are harder to use with having your head kind of far from it. So had to get a little closer to look. So that's going to be the inside. You could actually add some more hearts. I would probably die cut some hearts and add them over here, and I'll do that later. So now that that's done, and since I did turn it out inside out, I'm gonna run the bone folder on the edges there a little bit to make sure they're not popped up, because sometimes you get little ridges on the opposite side you cut. So that gets rid of that. Just a little tip. So now the question is, let's go ahead and fold this, and then we'll figure out if we want our flowers to show or if we want to stick with the stripes. So when you have this on here, let's go ahead and add this. So I'm going to grab my glue. And I'm going to add my panel here. And I'm just lining it up with the edges of the other pieces. Look how pretty. This is obviously very girly. So look at that. All right, so now we can go ahead and start folding things. So the way this folds is this is going to be a mountain fold, both of these. So you're going to make that a mountain fold. And then you've got a valley and a mountain, so it's kind of accordion, okay? And then this panel right here goes out. So it's like this, okay? So when it closes, it's going to close like that, all right? Does that make sense? So you've got mountain, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, mountain, mountain, valley. And then that way it all folds nicely. So now this piece is going to go in here. And I think I like the flower. I think I like the flowers more than stripes on that side. You could totally do stripes. I like the contrast of the flowers, so I'm going to do it that way. So we're going to make sure that our happy birthday is at the top. And I'm going to add some glue. This is the trickiest part, is just making sure everything's the right way and you're not getting your fingers in the glue. I always get my fingers in the glue. All right, so now I am just, this is what I love about the liquid glue, is I have a moment to make sure everything's straight. So that looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my glue onto this piece of Designer Series paper. Make sure my flowers are facing the right way and pop that on. Just like that. And what's great too is if you didn't score exactly right, you can kind of shimmy your paper and cover any imperfection, which I love. All right, so there we go. So that could be done just the way it is, but we could also add some embellishments. Like I said, I would probably add some little die-cut pink hearts here. Would be really pretty if you wanted to, or put another mouse in there. That would be really cute too. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of these shimmer gems. And they have all of the colors, which I love, so we're going to grab the pink ones. And I'm going to put 3 of them right here in a row. I think that looks pretty. It's kind of interesting. Just like that. And you can kind of manipulate them a little. There we go. And I think I'm going to grab my Wink of Stella, which is getting a little dry. And I'm going to add some Wink of Stella to that heart and make it a little shiny. Like that. You could also do these hearts with Wink of Stella, give them a little shimmer. But that's good. All right. So let's move some of this mess out of the way and I can show you the other samples. You know how crazy my tiny little space is, so I have to move everything out of the way. All right, here is our finished card. So sweet. I'm really glad I ended up doing that ribbon. I think it added a little extra something. This would actually even be good as a regular bow and just tie it around this strip of ribbon. That's probably a good way to do it as well. And it opens up, and then you've got this perfect card within a card to write, and then when it stands up really nicely on the counter, and you can see all of the layers. So this one is the petal pink. Let me show you the one we did in the peach pie. Look at this one. This little guy is so cute. I stamped one in each corner, colored them, and then I stamped another one and die cut him and then added the tag. He's layered on there with some dimensionals, as is the tag. Super cute. And then I added Wink of Stella to his nose and his eyes so they kind of sparkled. And we did the inside the same exact way. And then I added, so it says on the front, sending a big hug, so it's there when you need it. And then here is another little guy down here. And then I did some layering on the inside of this. So that's another option. And of course we used the peach pie. Here is one with these cute little walruses, and this one is in Petunia Pop, and I die cut some hearts, colored him in, colored these little cuties in, and then added some gems here. It says sending birthday hugs, happy birthday, so I used that same stamp, and then I did stamping and I added a die cut heart here. So the die cut hearts are super cute to add in here. So that is Petunia Pop. And then this last one, which I think they're badgers, I did in the Summer Splash, It says I could just hug you. I just took my sponge and put some color onto the edge, and then he has a little wobbler on there. So if you go on my onto my website, I have craft room must-haves. There's a link to the little wobbles, and they just attach. They're little springs that attach to the back, and so he can go back and forth. My son said that was his favorite. And then I die cut some of the hearts, and then inside I die cut the flowers in the same Summer Splash color cardstock, and then I used all of these colors that I also stamped thanks in. I used the Petunia Pop, the Pretty in Pink, and the Peach Pie for the flowers, so I kind of made it more colorful on the inside than the outside. So there are our samples. I cannot, oh, look at it. I don't even have them in the camera, silly. So there are my samples, and there are the colors I used. The only thing I didn't use today was Shy Shamrock. Sorry, Shy Shamrock, next time. So I hope you enjoyed making this, seeing this fun fold pop-out card made. Again, I will have the link below to my blog so that you'll have all of the cutting instructions, scoring, and assembly, as well as the picture cheat sheet for this for the cutting of the designer series paper, so that way you don't waste anything, and it makes it super simple to cut that designer series paper out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you get notification of all of my videos. I am getting ready to launch off a quick card layout once a week. Haven't decided which day of the week that will be. You'll just have to see when you get the notification. And then I'm going to hopefully start adding some tips and tricks here and there too. So more coming soon. I've been kind of planning out what I want to do, but I wanted to let you know that's coming. I hope you have a great day, and please take some time to craft today. See you next time.